inflation, interest rates, hurricane season. That's all sort of compounds.
Plays into it, yeah.
Today, I'm joined by Chris Kirkconnel, VP of Operations at Kirk Freeport, which is one of the premier jewelry and watch distributors on the island. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So last night I gave a quick Google whilst I was doing a little bit of additional research about you. The Kirkconnel name actually means in Gaelic Church of Connell. Is that true?
That's right. And, the family has both Scottish and Irish background to it because it's, that's where the original Kirkconnells migrated from to the Caribbean.
And so how did the Kirkconnel family sort of end up on a tiny little island in the middle of nowhere and set up this, jewelry and luxury goods enterprise?
So it was, some of the family members were merchant marine members, and so they ended up in the Caribbean and came upon Cayman and settled here. My kids are actually going to be they are the seventh generation of the family on island. So we've been around for quite a while.
Yeah. Okay.
The original family business was very related as well. Our original family company was in shipbuilding and in shipping. Mm-hmm. So, the quarter, the Cayman quarter, has one of our old family ships on it.
Okay.
The Kirk B, which was short for Kirk Brothers.
Okay.
So, we have a huge tie to the sea, and that's where, the ship's wheel that you will see on our companies, that's where the original logo came from, was from the shipping company.
Okay. Yeah. No, I love that. And so obviously the island has changed dramatically in 7 generations. When did the luxury watch and jewelry sector really sort of start to take off, and why?
Well, so my grandfather, being in the shipping business, mm-hmm. they would kind of pick up jobs from port to port. There weren't the established lanes that you see today. Mm-hmm. Now, on a Thursday, the ship leaves, it's here on a Sun. There's a set pattern now. Before, they were going from place to place and picking up job and moving along with the jobs. Yeah. And by when they were done with 3-6 months, however long it was when they were at sea, they had a collection of goods that they brought back for sale in the island. So Not necessarily luxury goods to start, but you had kind of general stores and grocery stores that held a lot of the things that the island needed. Mm-hmm. The luxury goods was really in the late 60s, early 70s. Our first 2 watch brands were Omega and Tissot. And those 2 brands were sold out of the back of the grocery store.
Is that right?
And then it was
the same location where Kirk's is now?
No, so the original Kirk supermarket is where the First Caribbean Bank building is now. That was where the supermarket was. So
interesting.
That they purchased that property and turned it into the bank headquarters.
Yeah, okay. And then so that has just naturally evolved over time?
And then so at that point, it was still kind of a mixed ownership of the business between my grandfather and his brother. Mm-hmm. And in 1972, he formed Kirk Freeport on his own, my grandfather. Okay. So that was, he kind of saw, especially even with people coming here and traveling to other places to shop because things were duty free, he saw that demand, and he actually was a big part of working with government to establish the duty free laws that were in place that helped bring that part of the industry to the island. Yeah,
okay. And so they implemented those laws at the time to really just facilitate...
To create the industry, because otherwise there were tourists that were coming here and they might fly over to Jamaica for the weekend to go shopping and then come back.
So just making it more attractive here. And what are you seeing in terms of the breakdown between individuals locally and tourists, in terms of your sales?
So it's, it's always evolving. Okay. So if you went back probably 12 or 15 years, cruise was a much bigger part of what we were doing. Probably over half of our volume was in cruise. But the last kind of 5 to 8 years, the local business has always been very important to us, and has only just gotten stronger as the island has developed.
Yeah.
So what we consider local, especially with a lot of people moving to these luxury properties on island
Yeah.
becomes even more and more a big part of what we do.
Yeah, and that's what I was just talking with somebody else about. Now that individuals are relocating, it's not just a PO box; they're relocating their entire families and businesses here. Those individuals are then spending money, which has a huge impact to the local economy, which I'm sure you're seeing firsthand.
We definitely do, and there are a lot of really nice places to live. Cayman is one of those that you just feel safe no matter where you go.
Yeah,
And so that ties into, because there are a lot of people that have made a huge amount of wealth in other areas, but they can't necessarily enjoy it where they live.
yeah,
So they move here. You can have nice watches and jewelry, and it's never an issue. It's
yeah.
somewhere you feel safe to enjoy it, not just to invest.
Yeah, and that's it. You've worked hard to buy these luxury items, and it's so true. You hear horrifying stories in London, and even friends in London. They're like, "Yeah, I can't wear my watch out anymore," which is a real shame. And I think for the high net worth moving here, it's just something that we take for granted. I don't even think twice about what watch I'm putting on in the morning, and yet, if you're not from here, it's something that becomes really apparent very quickly.
No, it definitely does, and I think it has benefits for both the industry that you're in and for us as well, because the people that have relocated, they really can enjoy what the luxury that they have purchased.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those beautiful things that the island brings.
And I think that is a common theme throughout everyone that I'm speaking to on this podcast, is just how safe the island is. And I'm not here directly trying to sell the island, but it's just something that comes out, that which we really do take for granted. But yeah, it's in a world that is in an ever increasing turmoil, and safety is increasingly paramount. Yeah, Cayman is a fantastic place for that. Talk to me about what are the best sellers and the brands that you guys represent?
So, I mean, we're fortunate enough to be representing quite a few of the major leaders in the industry. Rolex has always been kind of that top tier, especially in watches. A leading driver of the brands that we carry, Patek Philippe, is also one of those that has very high exclusivity. Both maintain, if not grow, considerable value of the pieces that you purchased. Cartier, with their watches and their jewelry, the entire offering that they have has been a large part of what we do as well. But we carry quite a few other huge, major brands: Breitling, Tag Heuer, Omega, David Yurman, Roberto Coin. The portfolio is quite large.
I have to say it is a nice lineup that you guys have. Yeah, it makes purchasing Christmas and birthday presents for my wife quite easy. Talk to me about why is it that if we just take Rolex or any of the other brands, but specifically Rolex, why is it that they are so hard to get hold of and there is such a demand for them?
Well, Rolex, I think that there are multiple facets to this, what has created the situation that we're seeing now, where it's almost impossible, especially to find the really in-demand models. But the entire line is quite short at the moment. Part of it is just a huge global demand. And, I think that, a lot of these companies aren't just trying to produce as much as they possibly can. They are very specific in maintaining the quality. And there's so much handwork and hand finishing and hand assembly that goes into these pieces that they're not just pumped out by machines. And it takes a long number of years to create the skill that it takes to hold this type of quality. So they can only expand at a certain pace. And between the growth of social media and the use of social media, especially in the luxury market, you had very segmented demands as far as types of pieces. So there are quite a few of the Asian countries that were more gearing towards precious metals. So precious metals in watches had the highest value for them. You didn't see a lot of demand on steel pieces. You didn't see a lot of demand on larger sport models. As Instagram, Facebook had started to become more and more used globally. Once a lot of these different markets realized, okay, well, the U.S.'s big demand is, because the U.S. is always going to be one of the largest countries as far as size. When other areas realized the sport models and steel models are what in the most demand in those countries, they kind of followed the same
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
trends. And it doesn't take a lot for one of those markets to start growing for a particular type of demand that it's going to affect everybody.
Yeah.
And I think what you're seeing is that there has been a tremendous success almost in the global economy where demand, normally you may see certain markets up, certain markets down. They're seeing such a widespread growth that it's hard to, there's no compensation or balancing from one market to the other. It's been quite strong demand for the last several years.
Yeah, okay. And I guess compounded by the global supply chain sort of issues.
And we're seeing, because we have other businesses in the holdings that are, a supermarket being one of them. We're seeing that it's every industry that has been affected, especially because of COVID. So with the luxury side, it takes a long time to produce these pieces and to go through all of the quality certifications and processes. That when you have either a shutdown of, it might have been 3 or 4 months for some of these factories, and then when they were getting back online, they had to reconfigure everything to keep greater spacing. So now you're working at an even lower capacity than you were before. You just can't. It's been hard for them to keep up, because we did see some of this, shortage of supply or increase in demand leading into COVID. It just made it that much harder for them to keep up.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And I guess when the supply demand shifts so much and the items become that much more valuable, it increases their desirability and then just compounds the whole
But we,
system.
we already saw the pressure before COVID. So, but it was a lesser number of pieces. It was, maybe the top 10 were very hard to find, or we had waiting lists as opposed to just being able to walk in and purchase. It ended up being almost the entire line. So,
Yeah, okay.
a lot, and it's a global, it's anywhere that you travel now, you're finding it hard to find most of these pieces.
Yeah, and is that because, if you can't get your hands on the top 10, you'll buy something else and then that's outstripped. And so there's nothing left on
Well,
the shelf.
no, exactly. And it actually, it does spread into some of the other brands as well.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
even if you can't find the specific piece in a Rolex, like some people have said, well, I still want something and I don't necessarily want to wait. I will get that if it becomes available, but they will also purchase other things
Yeah,
along the
okay.
way. But it has increased the demand on the entire range. So, you are seeing just an overall increase in demand.
And I guess that demonstrates that there's clearly liquidity in the markets and, definitely here. Do you see that changing as interest rates have risen and there's more inflation is sky high at the moment?
I mean, we're not seeing it fully balance out yet. You may see a little bit of relief in the pressure for the volume of requests that we're seeing, but we still don't have enough pieces to get out even to the
Okay.
local market, much less selling to the tourist market. So I think that over the last couple of years, the secondary market for some of these pieces became so lucrative that you didn't just have collectors and people that were genuinely interested for consumption of the watches. They saw that the demand was doubling, tripling, quadrupling the aftermarket of some of these watches. So people that were never interested in the watches before now thought, okay, this is somewhere that I can, if I can get my hands on some of these pieces, it could be very lucrative.
Yeah, okay.
It makes a lot more work for us because we're very diligent in making sure that we're selling to genuine customers and
Yeah.
people who want to wear the watches. Because even though there is, especially with these main brands, either keeping value or increasing in value, and it has always been that way, whether we were in this situation or not. We've always tried to be very diligent in making sure that people enjoy these, because buying them for an investment is a part of it, but we want to make sure that people are enjoying the pieces and really
Yeah.
that they're going to places that they will have a home that the value will be appreciated.
Yeah. And I mean, how do you ensure that? I mean, it's tricky, hey?
You can't be 100%,
Yeah.
but we're just it means a lot more involvement from it's a family business, and myself and my brother are very involved on a daily basis. So we are almost all involved with a lot of the major purchases that come through. So we have a pretty good idea that we're doing everything that we can to try to make sure that they're genuine customers.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Now, I know
And we also, working with you guys also, normally, if you're bringing someone to us and saying, I have a client that is investing in such and such property, and it helps pre-qualify people that we may not have met as customers before.
Yeah, true. And I'll have if somebody's coming down here and buying a property, naturally they, if they're looking to buy something for themselves or for their wife for Christmas, whatever else it is, I'll send them, directly to you guys. And I mean, how does somebody, if they've got their eye on a watch, what would your advice to be to them if, in order to secure that?
I mean, it's, get to know, the company you're working with, because if you just walk in as for the first time and you're asking for the hardest to get piece, you're not always, there's so many people that are doing that, but you want to get to you build a relationship with between the client and the retailers. And that really, if we know the client and we know that we're selling to someone. So I'm going to do that again.
Yeah.
If we have someone that comes in that we've built a relationship with, it's not always, we will have people that will ask, okay, what do I need to buy to get my hands on X and Y? Yeah. And we've never treated it that way. There's not like we're trying to push that kind of purchasing. We just want to make sure that we know that it's a genuine client. So if we have, someone like yourself that has someone that you've been working with for a while, it helps us to have the comfort to work with some of those clients.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think, people, it's a very small island. There's not a huge amount to do here. And so I think, when it comes to kind of shopping, it's a great spot to be able to do that, subject to obviously availability. Yeah. Talk to me about recent renovation of the Cartier store. And the issues you had with that and the pedestrianisation of Seafarers Way and whether that may have impacted business.
So with the Cartier boutique specifically,
which looks fantastic, by the way.
We are it came out better than we could have expected. That store, the main challenge with that store is that we came to the completion of the project at the end of 2019. So we'd only been open for a couple of months, fully stocked with brand new merchandise, when everything came to a halt. So it is, again, because we have always been quite dependent, but also quite supportive of the local market and held it as, we never just looked at ourselves as a tourist destination. During COVID, we had, a lot of clients that were moving to the island or that may have been seasonal, now spending longer periods of time on the island because we were COVID free for quite a while in the Cayman bubble. People could be here, enjoy the restaurants, enjoy shopping, and really just get out and have normal life while the rest of the world was kind of shut down.
Yeah, really shut down.
And so we saw that other than the first maybe 2 months where everything was quite locked down, once we were able to get back open, everything started, and the doors were open, especially because we're not an industry that can work so well on curbside pickup.
No, people want to go in, touch, and
they want to see. They're important purchases, and there's not a lot that is kind of spur of the moment. Although there is some of that spending. Like you're talking about values that people really have thought about the purchase leading into, or there's a special occasion. They really can take their time thinking about these purchases. So. But again, once we saw that we were able to open the doors again and have the natural flow of traffic, our local business actually grew. Instead, it didn't just return; it grew beyond what our previous expectations were.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. And for certainly retailers and hospitality, it was a tough few years. But I guess the demand was always there. So once the doors do open, people are back in, and we certainly saw the same with real estate. The demand didn't go away; it was just pent up. And then as soon as we're able to start showing houses again, the floodgates opened for sure.
Yeah, no, we are lucky as an island that we're not just dependent on tourism. The financial industry here, it's not any big secret. Like we know how important that is to the island. But because that continued, and even they were having record years, even while tourism wasn't really a factor.
Yeah.
It just meant that so much was able to continue on the island that you weren't seeing in other areas. So many other islands had to open back up because they had no other choice.
Yeah, and open up prematurely, and then the COVID, pandemic exacerbates, and then they have to shut down again. I think the government here handled that incredibly well. It's not an easy thing to undertake, but I think we're very fortunate with the way that it, came out in the end. Quick question: what is your favorite watch?
Oh, that's hard.
The $1 million question.
We see so many amazing pieces, and I There are quite a few Rolexes that have always been favorites, and it is what I tend to wear on most of it on a daily basis more than anything. But I mean, there's so many lines that we carry that I really do enjoy. So it's hard to say like a specific single pieces, but
Yeah.
Rolex, and then seeing the, how special Patek Philippe timepieces are, and the amount of work and care and tradition that is involved in those, it's really hard to not have a couple of their pieces
Yeah.
in your top 10 for sure.
Yeah, it's and that's it. I just don't think. Obviously, there's this supply and demand issue which drives price up, particularly on the secondary market. But then just the time that goes into making these pieces is mind blowing.
Yeah, and we've been lucky enough to visit some of these manufacturers, which are not open to the public, and so we get to see a little bit of behind the scenes and appreciate what really goes into. Because you can be told, but until you see the level of detail and the amount of work that goes into the most minute
Yeah.
part of every, and not even just the mechanical side of it, whether it's the case or bracelet, like everything is just, they're meticulous with their design, with the function, with the quality, the materials. It really is something that is special to get to see.
Yeah, and I have to say, before I, purchased my first Rolex, I thought, what a waste of money. How could you spend $8,000 or whatever on, a watch? But actually, owning one, you really do appreciate the quality that goes into it. And also, I think from a business aspect, I used to see guys, as a younger agent, wearing really nice watches, and I think you perceive that somebody that wears a Rolex, and it's super fickle, and it shouldn't be this way, is doing something better than you or is more successful than you. But actually, when I first put a Rolex on my arm, I thought, you know what, these people are actually no better than me. We're all the same. And it's certainly helped. It's really superficial, but it certainly helped level up my confidence in that regard.
I think it's and when you get to appreciate how it's made and what you're really wearing, and it's not just that you're looking for a brand logo, then it makes a big difference too. I think some of it is, I've heard it spoken through a couple of our large clients. They will walk into a boardroom, and you can't walk in with your house, and you can't walk in with your Ferrari, but you can walk in with your watch. And people are looking at it, and especially in very highly competitive industries. So whether that's banking, finance, or any of the financial industry, when you're walking in, people are looking to kind of size up a little bit.
Absolutely, people are posturing,
and we've been fortunate to be able to get some very special pieces for some of our collectors. And when they walk into that boardroom, guys that are in the top of their game in New York are just, their jaws drop. Like, how did you possibly find that piece?
The same to some extent with friends in London that waiting for whatever watches. That is really interesting. What exciting projects are you guys working on now?
But we actually have quite a few major projects that are either in the planning or things that we're looking to get moving pretty soon. We took on a spot in right next to the Strand, where we have one of our older stores.
Okay.
Right on the front road in a building that's called the Greenery.
Okay.
So it's just down the road from the Ritz, and right across from quite a few of the larger condo areas. We're trying to elevate our game in the beach area.
Okay.
So we have what should be two very special concepts that'll be going into those two spaces, pushing as hard as we can to be open by the end of the year. So some of it will be a little out of our control depending on the supply of some of the different materials, but we look like we should be on track to get those open. So
ready for high season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in town, between the Cardinal Avenue pedestrianization, we're working with quite a couple different groups to work on rethinking some of the spaces that were open before COVID that have not fully reopened at this point. Because I think that what we're seeing in the traffic on that new pedestrianized street, even without a lot of the doors being open, is phenomenal. And we think the potential
foot traffic.
Yeah. So the potential for and different business units than what we had operated before. We're looking for partners that are going to be in food and bev and some other. We want to bring some life to the street. So
Yeah,
there's
okay.
quite a lot of interest, and I think the potential. They've done a phenomenal job with the street itself. There's
Yeah,
still some
okay.
pieces that are coming in process, and some things that we need to take on as far as creating some shade and bringing the buildings up to an even better look and
Yes,
feel.
aesthetically sort of upgraded a bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think we're on a great track with some of those, and so that would be one of the very exciting projects that we should see in the near future as well.
Yeah, well, that is super exciting to hear as somebody who owns and operates in that location. To hear that time and money spent by the government is paying
Oh,
dividends.
like I said, it's been phenomenal to see what that has done for
Yeah,
the area just on its own, and it's as things really get rolling, you'll see it very quickly.
yeah, okay. Well, that's great to hear for Georgetown. I mean, if anyone wants to, I guess, yeah, buy or is interested about specific watches or jewelry pieces, where can they find you?
So, I mean, our main location is in Bayshore Mall, right in town, and that's where we have pretty much all of the major brands.
Yeah,
We have a fantastic team, so finding someone that you enjoy working with, as far as a salesperson, is always a very like as within your industry,
yeah, for
you want to
sure.
be comfortable and enjoy the person you're working with.
Yeah.
And it's the same for our stores as well. And the island has helped us to attract some really good talent. So
Yeah, and that's what we recommend when it comes to either buying or selling a house. Pick somebody that is experienced and knowledgeable on the product that you're looking to buy or sell, but then also somebody that you get on with. And don't look at it as a single purchase. Look at this as the start of a relationship that you're going to, maintain throughout the rest of your life and maybe your kids.
it couldn't be any closer to the truth. I mean, it's with us, especially, and especially in times where there's a lack of supply.
Mm,
It helps us if the salesperson knows you and knows as much as possible about you. They can call they're building the case for clients
yeah, okay.
for these harder to get pieces. So
Yes, yeah,
if
yeah,
you're able to have a great relationship with the salesperson and that they're able to pass that along to us, it's not
yeah,
just handing a sheet that there's a request for model X,
yeah,
Y, and
yeah,
Z
yeah, yeah. Right.
by John Smith, and
Yeah.
we're seeing those every day. It's you want to make sure that that you're working with someone that you enjoy working with.
Yeah, no, I love that. A lot of parallels between the two businesses. Chris, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate having you on the podcast. And yeah, best of luck with the future projects.
No, it's been a joy. Thanks for having me in.
Alrighty, thanks a lot.